The day I watched Margaret Hensley, the HOA president, sprint through our neighborhood drenched in a foul-smelling brown liquid was the most gratifying moment of my life. That tyrannical queen of petty rules had trespassed on my property one too many times, and her reign of terror was about to end in a spectacularly humiliating fashion. As an MIT-educated engineer, I never imagined I'd become the neighborhood's unlikely avenger, but when you push someone too far, expect consequences that hit like a freight train. 6 months earlier, I'd moved into Cactus Grove, a sun-soaked suburban enclave in Arizona, chasing the dream of owning my first home. The single-story ranch, with its sprawling backyard and built-in irrigation system, was a steal $30,000 below market value. The previous owner had muttered something about escaping the HOA's mental torture, but I brushed it off, too enchanted by the desert sunsets painting the sky in fiery oranges and purples. My plan was simple: work remotely as a software engineer, grow a vegetable garden, and live quietly. That dream lasted exactly 4 hours and 27 minutes. Margaret Hensley knocked on my door with a welcome package that was really a 47-page HOA rulebook. In her late 50s, she wore a tailored navy blazer that screamed money and a smile as cold as a winter night. Her posture was stiff, her eyes scanning my moving boxes with thinly veiled contempt. "We're thrilled to have you in Cactus Grove," she said, her voice syrupy but hollow. "This handbook ensures our standards keep property values high." I thanked her, assuming the rules couldn't be that bad. That evening, my neighbor, Tom Baxter, dropped by with a six-pack of local IPA and a warning. "You've met the Ice Queen," he said, cracking a beer. "Margaret's been HOA president for 8 years. Nobody challenges her, she'll make your life hell." He recounted her reign, fining an elderly widow $600 for unauthorized pink tulips, forcing a family to dismantle a swing set because its green clashed with the neighborhood's aesthetic, and harassing him over an unapproved basil patch. I laughed, thinking he was exaggerating. I'd soon learn he wasn't. I studied the rulebook like it was a coding manual. Trash bins out no earlier than 6 p.m. the night before pickup. Done. Lawn cut to exactly 2.5 inches. I measured twice. My bird feeder was precisely 48 inches high, my welcome mat a regulation beige. My engineering brain thrived on precision, even if I privately scoffed at the absurdity of it all. At night, I'd sit on my patio, staring at the starlit desert sky, wondering what kind of person obsessed over mailbox shades. Trouble started when I came home to find my backyard hose running full blast, water pooling in the gravel. In a desert where every drop is precious, this was alarming. My family had drilled conservation into me, especially in Arizona's drought-prone summers. I shut it off, assuming I'd forgotten, but my next water bill was double what a single guy should use. Suspicious, I hid a security camera in a birdhouse. 2 days later, I had my answer. Margaret, bold as brass, strolled into my yard, hooked her hose to my spigot, and watered her lavish garden while I was at work. The audacity floored me. I wanted to confront her, but I opted for calm. I sent a polite text with screenshots from the footage. "Mrs. Hensley, can we discuss the use of my spigot? 6 p.m. today." She read it instantly. No reply. The next morning, an HOA email arrived, citing me for grass blades a quarter-inch too long. Fine, $75. The timing was no coincidence. She was flexing her power. That evening, I knocked on her door, her front yard a shrine to obsessive landscaping, every petal in lockstep. She answered, gardening gloves on, her smile a razor's edge. I showed her the screenshots and asked her to stop. Her response was a masterclass in gaslighting. "I was inspecting your utilities per section 14.3, she said, unflinching. When I pointed out inspecting didn't mean siphoning my water for 30 minutes, she sneered. "As HOA president, I have privileges. The previous owner understood this. Adapt, Mr. Carter, if you want peace in Cactus Grove." I was stunned. Was she admitting to stealing as a perk? I kept my cool. "The rules don't grant you access to my utilities. Please stop." Her smile vanished. "The HOA takes enforcement seriously, Mr. Carter. Every violation will be noted." The threat was clear. The next week brought 3 more fines. $225 total for a trash bin out 32 minutes late, excessive window dust, and a garage door paint shade deemed non-compliant. At the HOA meeting, Margaret tabled my concerns, shutting me down. Tom caught me afterward. "She's targeting you. like she did the Lopez family when they complained about her parking in their spot. They moved out after 3 months. I asked why no one fought back. Most folks are retirees scared of trouble, he said. The rest fear becoming her next victim. I bought a $40 locking spigot cover, matching my house's color to dodge aesthetic complaints. 2 days later, water pooled around my house. My camera caught Margaret, bolt cutters in hand, snipping the lock like it was a weed, instructing her gardener. This is a community line. I'm entitled. Another violation notice arrived, claiming my mailbox was 3 inches too tall. Sitting in my living room, clutching that notice, I snapped. I hurled a glass against the wall, shards scattering. I tried reason, followed rules, installed locks. Nothing worked. It was time for war. I called Tom and asked to meet Sarah Mitchell, a property lawyer on Ocotillo Lane. Over beers, Sarah, sharp and HOA averse after her own battles, reviewed my footage. This is trespassing, property destruction, utility theft crimes, she said. You could file a police report. Tom noted my spigot's proximity to Margaret's prized garden made it her go-to. Sarah advised gathering neighbor statements to show a pattern. I learned Margaret pressured one family into using her cousin's overpriced landscaper, bullied another into removing a trellis only to install a similar one, and find a retiree for his kids' visits. She wielded the HOA like a personal empire. At the next meeting, I presented my case with photos, timestamps, and neighbor statements. Some residents nodded, recognizing their own grievances, but Margaret dismissed me. As a new resident, Mr. Carter, you don't grasp how Cactus Grove works. We'll review your concerns. She moved on, leaving me stunned. The next morning, she led a surprise inspection, citing 12 serious violations and an $850 fine. I sat among the notices, tears of frustration rising. The system had failed me. Margaret's final blow came at 3 a.m. My garden tomatoes I'd nurtured, flowers my parents taught me to tend was obliterated. Plants uprooted, koi pond poisoned with bleach, get out, scrawled in weed killer. My cameras, spray-painted black, caught nothing. I'd slept through it, drowned in white noise to ease my stress. The police called it a civil dispute, suggesting more cameras and an HOA reporto the woman who'd done this. I sat on my steps, holding a crushed tomato, questioning if I'd gone too far, if I was now the villain. Tom texted, arriving with 5 neighbors, tools, and plants in hand. For 3 hours, they helped clean, replant, and restore. Their kindness reignited my resolve. Sarah suggested a restraining order, but legal battles would drag on. I needed action now. I overheard Margaret by the mailboxes, spinning lies. He destroyed his own garden to frame me for catching him polluting our water. Some neighbors bought it, others wavered. The community was splitting. Exposing her wasn't enough. I had to catch her red-handed. Operation Checkmate began. I installed dual cameras, one in a lantern, one in a drain pipe. I built a tempting mini garden along our fence with pricey flowers and an unlocked spigot, bait for Margaret's greed. The spigot tied to an upgraded system, motion-activated floodlights, speakers, and sprayers with a potent, non-toxic brew of compost tea, food coloring, and fabric dye. After she trashed my parents' legacy, this is fair, I told Sarah, who nodded, urging no permanent harm. I faked a trip, loading luggage while Margaret watched, then camped at Tom's to monitor. At midnight, my phone buzzed. Margaret, in dark clothes, crept to the spigot, connecting her hose with glee. I whispered to the screen, "You're not getting water, Margaret. You're getting your own poison." I hit the button. Floodlights blazed, a siren wailed, and my voice boomed. Water theft in progress. Sprayers doused her in reeking brown liquid. A sign rose, thief, pointing at her in glowing LEDs. She screamed, tripped into the mud, and flailed as neighbors emerged, phones recording. "This is harassment," she shrieked, fleeing, leaving a trail of stench. Tom and I high-fived, watching her disgrace. By morning, neighbors cleaned the mess, and the video spread like wildfire. Maria Gonzalez, an HOA board member, called, voice shaky. "Margaret's been stealing HOA funds for years, handbags, parties, her daughter's car." She threatened me to stay quiet. I'm done. The revelation was dynamite. Sarah contacted a news station, already buzzing from the video. An emergency meeting packed the community center. Frank Larson, a board member, chaired, noting Margaret's recusal. Sarah showed bank statements, $87,000 siphoned from Margaret's luxuries. The room gasped, then roared. As videos of Margaret's thefts played, she burst in, reeking faintly despite showers. "This is a conspiracy," she screamed. "I kept your property values high, you idiots. Without me, this place collapses." Her unhinged rant silenced the room. Frank stood. I moved for a vote of no confidence in Margaret Hensley into full audit. Unanimous approval followed. Margaret deflated, muttering empty threats as she left, the stench of defeat trailing her. Frank became interim president, suspending fines and forming a bylaw reform committee. A lawsuit from a former resident sparked more, plus a police probe into Margaret's finances. She was ordered to repay the funds and fix my garden. The news ran the story, her midnight theft video viral. Crushed by legal bills and ostracism, she sold her house at a 40% loss and vanished. My water bill dropped 60%, and neighbors rebuilt my garden in a community day. Months later, I saw Margaret during a brief return, picking flowers in a yard. Our eyes met, and I glimpsed shame. I left a new spigot by the fence, sign reading, "For plants, not power." It went unused, a quiet end to our war. Sitting in my restored garden, kids playing freely nearby, I realized justice sometimes smells awful but feels divine. When the HOA handbook failed to address a tyrant, I wrote my own chapter in Reeking, Righteous Water.